The best memories are made when you take the road less traveled. Visit wanderingbutnotlost.com for some inspiration. Today on Wandering Zen, we are going to announce the winner of our You Think You Know Disneyland contest. As we discussed last week, I have to admit, I think it was a little too hard.
Thank you.
As a matter of fact,
I can't wait to see the answers.
Yeah, and actually, by the way, all of the answers will be up in the show notes over at, actually, not the show notes, but over at wanderingbutnotlost.com. I'll have all of the answers and the locations where all the pictures were taken. I am not, I guess, surprised to announce that nobody got 100%.
Okay.
So therefore, we're going to hold off our grand prize, $150 gift certificate to a Disney gift card, to another contest that we will have in a month or so. So we're going to hold that off. However, we didn't have a huge response, but we did have a response to the contest. And as promised, we are raffling off or giving away a Wandering But Not Lost hoodie. I actually happen to have one on right now because it's so cold here. I wish I had two on because that's how cold it is. It's a gray hoodie. The winner of the Wander But Not Lost hoodie actually is Jennifer Davies, right here from Orange County, California. So
really?
Jennifer, yep. So Jennifer, I'll be contacting you to get your size, your favorite color, and we'll get that out to you post haste.
Awesome.
Next time, I'm going to listen to Jen O'Brien a little closer, and when she says this is hard, and
you wouldn't even throw a bone out there to everybody and give them an answer. What are you?
Well, I know, just evil is what I am.
You're the evil teacher.
Thank you all that sent in your responses, and we will be having another contest down the line that might be a little bit easier to actually, come up with 100%. Okay, so this week on Wandering Zen, we're going to kind of just piggyback a little bit on what we talked about last week, how you can stay in but still get out and go on a road trip. The Oscars are coming up this Sunday on ABC, so if you're into the Oscars, this might help you get a little bit of movie watching in. Several of the movies that are on the list this week actually are Oscar-winning films, either Best Picture. Well, actually, I don't think any of these are Best. Well, yeah, one of them's Best Picture, but have won other awards as well. So, I was doing some research on this and what other people had put on their top 10 lists for road trip movies, and there's some that show up on everyone's list, and they were on my list as well. There's some on here that I don't think I found on one other list, or there's at least one on there. So I'm looking forward to talking about that a little bit later. Jen O'Brien, just as last week, I bet you have seen every single one of these movies. It would not surprise me at all. They're fun. A lot of them are a little bit silly, but let's just dive on in.
I haven't looked at your notes, so I have no idea what you're going to talk about. So
I have a feeling you've seen these because most of these are pretty classic.
All right.
So anyway, let's just start off by one that I have to start with this one because it's really one of my favorite go-to movies. If I see it on TV when I'm flipping channels, I've got to watch it, and that will be Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the 1985 movie, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Tim Burton, of course. And if you don't really, it's not really super dark like a lot of Tim Burton movies, but when you know it's Tim Burton, you're like, oh, of course it is, especially the music. The movie follows the boy as he goes through his search for his stolen bicycle, which he's been told by a psychic is in the basement of the Alamo. Now, I don't want to give a big spoiler alert here, but there's no basement in the Alamo.
I just watched the Alamo with John Wayne the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
We're digressing here, but I love Turner Classic Movies this time of year because they just show all those great Oscar films. It's like you can get. Totally
I love watching old films, so I found a channel. Not only that one, but I found another channel that's like the retro. I don't know if it's Epic or something on the premiums that is a retro channel, so it's always old movies. But even movies that are from the 80s and 90s that are, I guess, would be considered old.
It's so different than the way things are made now, right? It's crazy. Anyway, the next one on the list is Plane, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, come on. Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm. Set around Thanksgiving, John Hughes comedy. John Candy and Steve Martin. Steve Martin was a type A personality, right? And John Candy is like a overly chatty salesman. They become travel partners who work together to get home to their respective families. It's a fun ride, super silly, but it's a good one. Number 3 on the list is the winner of actually 4 Academy Awards, and that's Rain Man from 1988. Pairs Tom Cruise as a self-centered Charlie Babbitt and Dustin Hoffman as Raymond, the autistic savant brother Charlie, who never knew that he existed. So, the father dies. Charlie kind of tries to get in there to, get the moolah, and then they embark on their cross-country trip that really changes both of their lives. And that movie is fantastic. 10 Minutes to Wapner, of course, definitely 10 Minutes to Wapner.
God.
Underwear on the highway, of course, definitely underwear on the highway.
That one I can watch again and again for sure.
256. There are lines from Dustin Hoffman, who was amazing in that film. That go on forever.
Did he win? I think he won an Oscar.
Yeah, he did. Next one, Little Miss Sunshine, 2006. You see that movie, Jen?
Yes, absolutely.
It won 2 Academy Awards. It's a dark comedy, obviously, and it follows really an all-star cast. Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Greg Kinnear, Paul Dano, Alan Arkin. They drive across country in a VW bus. So their 7-year-old daughter, Olive, that's Abigail Breslin, can compete in the Little Miss Sunshine beauty pageant. It's quirky. They are a troubled family, the overworked mom, suicidal brother, immediately likable, or not immediately likable, but in the end, it's super heartwarming, fun film. That was a little sleeper that year, I remember, and it was an awesome film.
I really enjoyed that movie, actually. Good one.
Totally. Next one, Sideways, 2004.
Oh, God.
Another Academy Award winner.
One of my favorites.
I know. You know what? I have not seen that movie in years, and when I was doing the research on this, it really made me want to...
I probably watched it about 2 months ago. It's on all the time.
Grab a glass of Pinot Noir and sit down and watch that film, right?
Makes you want to go to Napa, man. Whew.
I know. It's the story follows the divorced, depressed, wine-obsessed Miles, who was played by Paul Giamatti, and his friend Jack Thomas Hayden Church, who is another guy who's awesome in everything he does, kind of underrated. He's an aging former soap actor who is soon to be married and plans to have a last fling before his marriage. It's awesome, and I'm telling you, that movie is so freaking beautiful. The wineries and the vineyards, and so cool. The next one, we're going to go back to 1969, Easy Rider, directed by Dennis Hopper, who also actually starred in the film with Peter Fonda as they travel from L.A. to New Orleans after a successful drug deal. Oh, how peppy and lighthearted. But that is actually a great film as well. So if you haven't seen Easy Rider in a while, and you can find it, because some of these aren't the easiest to find, check that one out. Number 7, we're going to go way back to 1934. It Happened One Night, directed by Frank Capra.
Clark Gable.
Right, and Claudette Colbert. Right. Black and white film from Hollywood's golden age.
Classic. Tells
the story of the reporter, Claudette Colbert, who's running away from home. Follows. So Clark Gable follows her to New York trying to get the scoop. So it's a winner of Academy Awards as well. So it's
got the classic scene with the blanket between the two beds.
Right, exactly.
That was awesome.
This next one on the list is actually in honor of my wife, Sweet Pea, The Sure Thing from 1985. She loves this film mostly because she is a huge John Cusack fan. He goes on the cross-country trip with Daphne Zuniga Allison. He's had his eyes on her for the longest time. She is really kind of wanted nothing to do with him, but they were both going to LA, and they kind of, the story unfolds as it goes on there.
I love that actor as well.
Oh, yeah. There are
and his sister.
Yeah. Oh my God, she's awesome too. What was she in recently that shocked me? She had a little tiny part. I don't remember. Forgot what I'll think of it. Number 9 on the list is the one that I didn't find on anyone else's list, but it's one of my favorite movies. Once again, I haven't seen it in a little bit, but I've got to dig this one out, and that is Lost in America, the 1985 classic with Albert Brooks and Julie Haggerty. Did you see that, Jen?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God, I love that film because these two guys are sick of what they're doing in their lives, and they drop out of society. They sell their house, they get a Winnebago, and they're going to travel the world. Well, it doesn't take very long for all chaos to ensue because they only get as far as LA to Las Vegas when Julie Haggerty loses their entire nest egg while she's playing roulette. And I will never forget her sitting around that roulette table at 4 o'clock in the morning, 22. And she loses all the money. And then that's when Albert Brooks goes into the owner of the casino and says, you should give the money back. Be known as the friendly casino. Anyway, so then they go on to, try to make a living, really, and get some money. And they end up in New York and whatever. I don't want to give the whole thing away. But if you haven't seen that movie, go see it. It is a fun ride. And number 10 on the list is, to me, probably the most classic road trip travel movie of all time. The 1939 freaking classic, The Wizard of Oz. Because, come on, where can you do more of a road trip than from Kansas to Oz via a house or your ruby slippers or whatever it happens to be? So The Wizard of Oz is got to be on everybody's road trip movie as well. So there it is, top 10 road trip movies. You got a little time this weekend.
I love it.
You're trapped in your house. Take a little peek at some of these films. You can probably find them on demand, or well, if you have a CD player or VCR, you may even have some of these films in your old
I bet you can find library. It somewhere on Netflix or somewhere, Hulu. Those places have a lot of these old movies. I got to throw out a John Cusack movie just as a bonus that I just saw recently because I've seen it numerous times, Serendipity.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
Come on, now that one's in New York and I think LA, so it kind of goes, it's not quite a road trip there, but he is traveling all over the place trying to find the girl that they ran into all those years earlier.
That's right. Yeah, and there's other things. We talked about the vacation movies last week when we were talking about that, going to the Grand Canyon. There's also Thelma and Louise. There's so many great movies where people in cars going on trips, but I didn't want to include those because we talked about them last week. But there's a ton of fun movies out there, and it really can make you feel like you're going on a little trip, people. So you know what? If you're stuck in and you're getting cabin fever, just grab some popcorn, and in this case, bottle of Pinot Noir. And
Sideways, I'm going to watch that one again.
I know, me too. Out of all those movies, I think that's the one I need to see this weekend because I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, that's awesome.